name is Lillian E. Mitchum, and welcome to Lillian's World Comedy Podcast. Relax, take your seat, and let's get this thing right. Hi, you know what? I thought about when I was in my 20s. Now, I have a lot of stories about my life that I've been telling you guys. Not that I have so many stories that I've been telling you guys. I also have had guests to come on and share their life of Lily's world. But today, I want to go back. I want to go back when I was 20. And maybe, just maybe, some younger person can understand when they have a job and they're getting ready to move out of their parents' house, they can kind of take a page from my book. And I thought about it when I was 20, I had a job. I moved out of my parents' house and I was working as a clerical secretary. And I was making $1.67 an hour. Now, when I was making that, I said, well, you know what? It's time. I was in my 20s again. I said, it's time for me. I'm grown and it's time for me to get on my own. And I guess I was just feeling myself because when you're in your parents' house, you got you got to come in a certain time. You got to do this. You got to do that. Why is he staying so late at your house? Time for him to go. And you 20, you're working, you're out of school, and all like that. I said, okay, let me get my parents. And my parents probably said, "Whoa, hallelujah, glad she gone," because she was a little. I'm just saying they didn't say it. They probably said she is a hot mess, but I really was. I was more like mischievous. Anyway, so when I moved, before I moved out, my brother-in-law, he told me, he said, "Let me tell you something, young lady." I said, "Okay." He said, "Let me tell you about two rules." I said, "Two rules?" He said, "Yes. Now keep in mind, I haven't moved out yet." He said the two rules are number one, when a guy come to your house, everything that he come with, let him take it out with him. That's lady or man. Let them take it out with you because the first piece of pants, shirt, shoes, toothbrush, whatever, that means he's living in your house or she's living in your house rent free. Second rule is don't let anybody come to your house unexpected. I said, huh? Well, I didn't really think about all these things because the only thing I was thinking about was moving out. And so then after that, he said, okay, kiddo, you'll see. And you know what? I, I had to laugh because after I did move out and got my apartment, he did kind of tell the truth there, let me not lie. And when I got my apartment, it was a one bedroom apartment. I had a bedroom, a kitchen, and a front room. And what I did with that is I was so elated because I with this apartment, it was on the third floor. And what I found out was on that third floor, it was people my age on that floor too. It was more like a college dorm than anything. Although I went to a lot of colleges, as you know, but I never stayed on a dorm. But that's what it was like. And by me moving in, I said, you know what? I'm making $1.69 back in the day. I assume that was a lot of money. I mean, what do we know? And I need some furniture. So I hopped my happy butt up there to a furniture store and bought furniture. Now, back in the day, you get 3 rooms of furniture for $700. They call it a package deal. You know what Wall did? Huh. Wall went and got that 3 rooms of furniture for $700, but I had to pay a fee or every month. So got the 3 rooms of furniture. Keep in mind $1.69 that I was making an hour. Went and got the 3 rooms of furniture that cost $700. Then I turned around. I said, "Oh wow, I need a car." So I turned around and keep in mind I'm paying for that 3 room of furniture. I said, "Oh," so I turned around and I bought me a car. Now I bought me a Chevy hatchback orange Vega. And I would turn around on that third floor and I would look at that car. I'll look at my furniture and I said, "You go, girl, with your bad self. You did a good job." And, I didn't think about it. Now, keep in mind the furniture, the car, rent, utility, gas to put in the car. I didn't think about none of that stuff, but I was happy. But one thing my father always told me, he taught me, he said, "No matter what, pay your bills." And I literally paid my bill. So I was there maybe 6, 7 months, whatever. And when I was there, one thing that I forgot is, can I put up the sign? I didn't have no money to eat. I couldn't feed myself. My stomach, you know what? Peanut butter and jelly is always good. I literally could not feed myself. And what happened, I mean, my stomach was growling. I didn't want to ask my next door neighbors or whatever, or my neighbors down, 2 fleets down or next door to me, the, I'm hungry, could you feed me? Although they would, because I couldn't cook, and I couldn't cook then. So, and I probably ate a lot of times at their house, so it probably didn't really bother me. So, but it was one particular time I was just hungry. I mean, my stomach was growling. I mean, if it was anything that was on the floor, I mean, I could have ate seaweed, to be honest with you. I could have ate that. But what I did, I probably just went to bed. And before I went to bed, it was kind of early. And when I went to bed, my doorbell rang. But I remember when my brother-in-law said, and somebody was coming to my house unexpectedly. Remember, I lived on the third floor, and they had to you had to buzz them in to come into your place. And I don't know. I don't think I was just, if you're hungry, I don't think I was really there. And so I buzzed them in, and when they came in, it was, guess what, y'all? I could cry. Maybe you want to cry too. It was my 2 brothers, Ricky and Gregory. I'm always talking about Ricky. It was Ricky and Gregory. And back then they was teenagers and they had a paper route. And what they did, they bought me bags of groceries to my house. Do you know I got down on the floor? I cried. And I said, "Thank you, Lord Jesus." And you know what they did? They just sit up there and they looked and they grinned. And they didn't say anything. But I was proud of them. But one thing that I learned that don't let your mind be bigger than your pocket. Everything that seemed like a good idea, especially when you're first moving out, is not. And I think, and the second thing I learned is that God take care of babies and food. Now I'm not calling myself a fool. I would just call myself young and just didn't know. But if this can help anybody out there, and when you're young, you're in your 20s or 25 or whatever age that you are, and you're going for your first apartment, plan first. Now, you know how when you're young, you like to party? I can't even party. Only thing I can do is sit up there, look at that car with no gas in it, and look at that 3 rooms of furniture that I had to pay each and every month and try to get to work. But I learned from that. I learned. And by me learning, I was thinking of God. And when I was thinking of God, I was thinking he was looking down at me and he said, "Child, I sent you on this journey, and I don't know. But I think because I really didn't pay much attention to school, I think he just had his own plans for me. And his own plan for me was you're going to go through this and that and whatever. And since you're going through this, maybe you can tell stories. Maybe you can become a poet. Maybe you can become an author. Maybe you can become a playwright." Guess what? I done all three. And God also, by all the stories that I have told, telling, futuristically will still tell. But this main thing that God does for me, He got me a comic book. You see? He got me a comic book. And in this comic book, this is the front, this is the cover. This cover tells everything about me. When you open up the pages, and I'm opening up the pages, it's more humor, very funny stories about my life, and more in depth about my personality. Because you know I'm a Libra, and it's more in depth. Do you see? Do you see? This is a few more stories. And if you want to know about me, please buy my comic book. And I want to emphasize this story right here. I want you guys to look at this story because this is really, really funny. And before I end, I got to tell you this story. Now, today I went to church. And when I went to church, and I have to show you this. Keep focusing on this. When I went to church, we went to a visiting church. When we went to the visiting church, wanted the ministers got up there and they wanted people to sing in the choir, make a choir because a lot of people that was there. Guess what? Guess whose name was called to come up there? Man, I got up there and I was singing with the choir like I used to do a long time ago. I and just like I did a long time ago, whatever words I didn't know, I put my own words in there. But is that kind of funny that they would ask me to come on up there, call my name, said, "Look, come on up there, sing with the choir." If I can find the story, if I can find it, I'm gonna send you a clip of me singing at a visiting church. Until the next time, you young people out there, please, please, you don't want to be following in my footsteps. When you move out of your parents' house, make a budget. Don't let your mind overrule your pocket. Think it out. Until the next time, peace out.